Hey guys, welcome to The Market is Open. Check us out on themarketisopen.com. Today we just got news that Amazon and GM are looking to take a minority stake in EV startup Rivian. So we know Rivian by their cool electric cars. This is the R1T, their pickup truck. It looks pretty cool. The only thing I personally don't like about it is the vertical headlights. As I mentioned in one of our previous Rivian videos, I'll put a link so you can check it out. So this is an EV startup. This is their SUV version. It's pretty much the same car, just this one has an extra back to it, and it's called the R1S. So first, let's see what Amazon and GM are getting themselves into. Rivian was started by this guy, R.J. Scaringe. He's the founder of Rivian. And an article just came out the other day, which was pretty interesting. Ford picked it up. It was called, they were saying that this guy, R.J. Scaringe, is Tesla's worst nightmare. So Rivian has actually been around for about 10 years. It was founded in 2009, and they're coming out with these two cars that I just showed you, and they're saying that they're going to be able to hit an acceleration of 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and tow up to 11,000 pounds. So that's pretty competitive. Their goal is to be the first EV pickup truck on the market. And of course, they've been assembling their logistics for parts and manufacturing. And they also have a huge number of executives from other impressive car companies such as McLaren and Jeep, who all work for the company. So this is Rivian's skateboard technology. So basically this is the chassis for a car. So it's kind of interesting. Perhaps GM, for one thing, is looking to use this technology in their own cars, and maybe by acquiring it, we'll see if they get any technology out of this deal. But basically each wheel has its own motor. We were talking before that that might be expensive to have a separate motor for each wheel. That's 4 motors. I mean, Tesla has 2 motors for their cars, so we'll see how this plays out. They also have 3 different types of options for energy density in the batteries, but we're still not sure how Rivian will be sourcing its batteries. I mean, they don't have a gigafactory yet that Tesla has. I mean, they're still in the early days. They only have about 600 employees, compared to Tesla, for example, has 50,000 employees. So this is sort of an early day company, but they are planning to bring their car to the market within the next couple of years. Okay, so this announcement of GM and Amazon investing in Rivian comes at a time just after Adam Jonas, an EV expert at Morgan Stanley, came out with an article saying how he thinks Rivian is the next serious competition from a clean sheet startup. So basically he was commenting on the fact that Tesla has about 80% of the sales in the EV market. Tesla has 90% of the revenue, and this is unsustainable. I agree, that is true, that's probably not sustainable. But to me, that's equivalent to saying if you have 100% market share and somebody sells 1 car, then your market share is going to go down. So that's also not sustainable. But the EV market as a whole is growing, so I think Tesla can still grow dramatically, and Rivian can grow as well. Any car company who's contributing to the EV market can grow, because the entire EV market is less than 2% of the global car market, and the ICE portion of it is going to be shrinking while EV is going to be growing. So Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley also praised Tesla for having a supercharger moat. So that is interesting, because that is something that Rivian doesn't have, but perhaps by GM buying a minority stake in them, they'll be able to share in GM's future supercharger network, which it plans to be building out. We estimate Tesla's chargers may account for 30% to 40% of total US charging outlets counted by the US Department of Energy. That's a quote from Adam Jonas, but he says that because Tesla's growth in these superchargers and even in their stores and their service has been a lot slower than the growth in the growth of the Model 3, that's been growing like crazy. That's going to put a lot of strain on the system, is what he's saying. That's going to put a lot of strain on service and supercharging and all these other things until Tesla has time to build it out. So the main takeaway here is that it was interesting that he said yesterday Rivian was serious competition for Tesla, and then the next day GM and Amazon are investing into Rivian. So from the news we have now, they're planning to take a minority stake. That's not going to be a controlling interest. They won't have control over the company. We'll probably find out later this month all of the details related to this deal. But that said, there is a chance that the deal falls through. Some people were saying that they want Ford to actually be the one to just purchase Rivian outright and integrate their technology into Ford's F-150, which has a super, a great brand name, and they're working their hardest to turn it into an electric vehicle. And so maybe Rivian could be the path to do that with their expertise in technology. But it seems that GM beat them to the punch so far. And so with a minority stake, It's possible that GM and Amazon might get some of the EV technology that Rivian has, so they might be able to take that and apply it to their own vehicles. It doesn't sound like Amazon has its own vehicles yet. They're probably not interested in Rivian for the same reasons as GM. They're probably just looking for a way to transport products and goods between their warehouses or to people. So that would probably be Amazon's point of view for this deal. But the other way to look at it as well is that both Amazon and GM just have a ton of money lying around. Specifically, GM is way behind on electric cars. They definitely need Rivian to help them out, from a design and production perspective. But also, they could be hedging their bets. I mean, why not invest in all of the electric vehicles in all the electric companies and see which ones do well over time? Like, you never know. It sounds like people are excited about Rivian. So if GM has money lying around, why not make a big investment in Rivian, and then if Rivian grows to be a multi-billion-dollar company, that'll be great for GM. But that said, I was listening to Jeremy from Financial Education the other day, and he was saying that Rivian is way behind Tesla. He stressed the way, but I think that's true. Rivian is way behind. They spent a long time building this prototype, and it might take them a long time to get to sort of the manufacturing stage. First of all, you could see their prototype, so people think that they're further ahead than they actually are. But I mean, like Tesla's Roadster has a prototype. You see it driving around in auto shows, or you see it driving around in the city. But they're not ready yet to mass produce this car, and that requires huge factories. Where is Rivian going to get the batteries from, for example? I mean, Tesla seems to be well positioned. They've already built a couple factories before. They already have ramped up various different types of cars. So I think Tesla has more experience, and Rivian hasn't done any of that yet. So I think Tesla was the real deal when you saw the Model S, for example, or the Model X, and you sat inside and you felt the car and you knew that it was real. Whereas to me, Rivian doesn't have a real car yet. They're not producing anything. They haven't delivered the actual product yet. And it also seems that they're sort of skipping a step, and people think that they're going to be able to mass produce this car right away. But don't forget that Tesla had produced the Roadster, a low volume, high end car. And they moved sort of down to a less expensive but still premium price car. That's the Model S and the Model X, but slightly higher volume. And now they're at super high volume and low price car, and they're trying their best to get it down to even cheaper so that they can reach a bigger volume. And that's proven to be a big challenge for them, and it has taken them years to do that. I haven't seen Rivian try any of that yet. It seems like they're skipping right to let's produce this car at high volume at a low price. But I think Tesla's path was more sustainable, and it sort of allowed the company to survive for multiple years to get to where it is today. So in my opinion, I don't look at this deal as a game changer for any of these companies. I still think GM and Rivian are behind in electric vehicles, and Rivian isn't Tesla's worst nightmare yet. Currently, Tesla is GM's worst nightmare. And a lot of people don't really want GM touching anything, especially Rivian, because GM doesn't really care too much about EVs, it seems. They're sort of just doing it because they know that other companies are doing it, but they didn't come up with the idea on their own. They're the ones who destroyed their own EVs, and we could have had EVs years ago if it wasn't for GM. So let me know in the comments what you think about this deal. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.